So does that actually mean that our devices, such as the Pwnagotchi or the Wi-Fi deauthentication watches or the Marauder, is obsolete? So, from an attacker's perspective, we are actually forced to re-authenticate and get a new handshake for every password attack we're going to perform. This drastically slows down the original process where we can just capture the handshake and brute force that actual hash offline. Now that's not possible anymore with the WPA3. So I have the drawing right here. And as you can see, it's WPA network access point. You get a handshake, right? You do then try and guess the password, and access denied. You get a new handshake and access denied. So basically, this is the hard reality we are in with the attacker tool that can brute force the password. So how much time would we waste, compared to, well, when we brute force passwords on our machine, it's not unlikely to see something like 2,000 or 4,000 or 6,500 passwords per second, whereas this is probably down to one password per second or something like that. It is just drastically removing the interests for hackers to brute force WPA3 networks. There are different things, of course, vulnerabilities you're going to talk about. There have been vulnerabilities in the protocol. Now, I think it's kind of waste of time for me to just present, we have this CVE of the WPA3 protocol where some wild network could be attacked, and then so on, so on. But there's actually ways for you to try and force the access point to downgrade to another protocol. Now, illustrate this with, this is the actual router right there, right? And then you're trying to connect to it. This is me. You say I want to connect, and it's running, WPA3, but you do send another cyber suite to it. So instead of using WPA3, you try to connect to it in a different way, let's say WPA. And if the access point is enabled and accept this cipher suite you send it, well, there's a possibility it's gonna grant you back and say, okay, we can communicate. I know it's a lesser safe protocol. The chances of we can break the password is probably slim to none, but yeah. This also basically means that if people get the hunch that the reality of guessing very few passwords per second is suddenly a thing, the password strength might go down at people's own awareness. So that is a big issue. Alright, so downgrade attacks is a thing. So when you have the access point, make sure that you have the minimum cipher suite set. Now, when you do that and you only do WPA3, you actually exclude a lot of interesting parties. Not all operating systems, phones and tablets do have the newest software installed. Some cannot because it's too old and cannot get upgraded. And some operating systems on phones and laptops and smartphones just, it's not there yet. So what you're going to do is you're going to have to accept the fact that downgrade attacks is a thing. That's really the way it is. Other type of mentions is something called side channel attacks, exploiting weaknesses in the implementation of the cryptographic protocol or hardware. But this is actually the thing we are facing. So does this actually mean that our devices is obsolete and we cannot use them? I would say no. They're still very much usable. It's the same thing going on when people talking about 2.4 gigahertz versus 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi hacking. Why no one do the 5 gigahertz hacking? Well, I talked about it in another video. Go and watch it on my channel. But the short message is that the 5 gigahertz range is very bad compared to 2.4 gigahertz, because many things will disrupt the signal when you're using a 5 gigahertz sending frequency. So just a small wall or something will disrupt the signal pretty much. And if you have 2.4 gigahertz, you can actually capture that signal 100 meters away if you have a strong enough antenna, and that's not really possible with 5 gigahertz. Making it less feasible to brute force. You have to be very close. So that's actually something that, changed the game a lot. So I just want to talk about this in brief, and I hope you learned about WPA3 to a certain point, and definitely go ahead and try and do some downgrade, testing on your own gear if you want to make sure it is not vulnerable to this type of attack, or just make up your mind and say, well, I'm just going to go WPA3 hardcore. And the thing is, if you do that, you're going to lose some customers, probably not being able to use your network. But then again, who cares, or do you care? Not me to decide, just giving you the facts. So checking out, and see you again online. Have a really nice day. Stay safe out there.